first let me say that it is fascinating that the two surprisingly successful outsider candidates this year in each party, Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders, currently fighting their respective national committees. And to some extent, that's because they feel that their national committees are not really sympathetic to them. But to some extent, it backs up their anti-establishment status, which is part of their political
when you
strength.
think about it, and Donald Trump has made great hay of this on the Republican side, saying, look, we have this system where, some party bosses can get together and voila, whether it's in Wyoming or Colorado or elsewhere, my opponent benefits and gets all the delegates. Now, others talk on the Democratic side about the role of these superdelegates, because the race by pledged delegates is very close, by about 200 or so delegates.
Yeah, because the establishment of both parties set the rules. So if you were talking about a perfectly fair system, there's not really an argument for the superdelegates. I mean, the delegates to the convention should as closely as possible reflect the desires, the choices of the voters in that party in the given state from which they come. Superdelegates, I mean, they were adopted over the years for various reasons. One was that a lot of senators, governors, congressmen wanted to make sure they got to go to the convention.
Exactly. Real quickly, I was talking to former Defense Secretary Cohen on this subject, the fact that both prominent Democratic candidates have attacked the administration for not more forcefully pushing this issue of allowing victims' families, 9/11 victims' families, to sue the Saudis, given the Saudi government's role, maybe at a mid or lower level, the royal family's role in the 9/11 attacks. And he said that it's a slippery slope if you go there. What do you make of that?
Well, look, this is really between a rock and a hard place, because the Saudis are important allies of ours. There's a whole new generation of leadership coming on. They've been much more proactive. We disappointed them when we made the deal with Iran for nuclear weapons. It's important to try to rebuild that relationship. On the other hand, how are you going to say no if people who lost loved ones to terrorists can somehow make the claim that it goes back to somebody in Saudi Arabia?
So what do you make of their threat that they'll respond tit for tat?
I think I don't know that it's possible to really pull all their money out of U.S. Treasury notes, but they will respond because it matters. I tell you, this is one where we need something that doesn't happen much anymore, where people kind of sit and reason together, and without making some blanket lifting of what we call sovereign immunity, the inability to sue the state, that somehow if the families of the victims of the terrorist attacks of 9/11 are able to make their case back to somebody in Saudi Arabia, then the Saudis ought to voluntarily create a fund to enable them to reimburse without waiving their rights. When Bill Cohen says it's a slippery slope, what he naturally means is that if we do this to the Saudis here, then some foreign country can start arresting or suing, let's say, an American soldier who they accuse of. Yeah, exactly, and that's a problem.